So 8 plus 5 plus 0 equals 8 plus 5. We're just adding 0, so that's the identity property of addition. Next, ordering and plotting numbers on a number line. So first, order these numbers in order from least to greatest. So 1, we're ordering from least to greatest. That's important to know. 2, we need to get all of these to a common number, so either whole numbers or decimals. So, first, the square root of 16, that's going to be 4. 8 over 9. 8 over 9 is going to be 0.8 repeating. Remember, just divide 8 over 9. Negative 2 is going to be negative 2. Negative 0.5 is negative 0.5. 2 4/5. Remember, 2 is the whole number. Then divide out 4/5, which is 0.8. The square root of 12. So guys, 12 is not a perfect square. This is not a perfect square root. So I need to find the perfect square right below 12 and right above 12. So the perfect square right below 12 would be 3 times 3, which would equal 9. The perfect square right below is 9. The perfect square right above is 16. 12 is in between 9 and 16. So if I were to square root 9 and 16, I would get 4 and 3. So therefore, my answer is going to be between 3 and 4. Okay, so now I have these all alike. So now I can order from least to greatest. Always start with your negatives. Remember, the further away from 0, the larger you are. The smaller you are. So first, it would be negative 2. Then it would be negative 0.5. And now there's no more negatives. Now I look for the smallest number closest to 0, and that is 8 over 9, or 0.8 repeating. So that would be 8 over 9. And then we have 2.8, which is 2 4/5. Then we have between 3 and 4, so the square root of 12, and then the square root of 16. So now I'm going to place these numbers on the number line. That means if I have these in correct order, I should be going from left to right. So negative 2, I start at negative 2. That is negative 2. Then I have negative 0.5. Remember, negative 0, that means I'm not quite at the 1 yet. 0.5 means you're halfway in between. So negative, I'm still in the negatives, and I'm halfway between 0 and 1. Then we have 8 over 9. I look back, we saw 8 over 9 was 0.8. So 0.8 isn't quite to 1 yet, but almost. And that's going to be 8 over 9. Then we have 2 4/5. We said that's 2.8. So I go to the 2, I'm closer to the 3. So that is 2 4/5. Next I have between 3 and 4. So you can plot anywhere between the 3 and the 4. And that's going to give us the square root of 12, and then on 4 exactly will be the square root of 16. Integer application. Diana has $1,575 in her savings account. She deposits $140. A few days later, she transfers $600 from her savings account to her checkings account. So I need to write an expression to represent the banking transaction. So I'm going to go back and look at what I just underlined. So, okay, here's an amount. That's important. If you deposit money into your account, you're adding more money to your account. So we're going to add 140. A few days later, if you transfer money, you're taking money away. So minus 600 from her savings to her checkings account. So here, we need to write an expression. Remember, expressions do not have equal signs. So we start with 1,575. We then add 140. And then we subtract 600. That is the expression we are going to work with. So if I want to find Diana's new balance, I'm going to have to evaluate this expression. So first, I'm going to rewrite the expression. Then PEMDAS, adding and subtracting, I work left to right. So first I do 1,575 plus 140. That is going to get me $1,575 plus 140 will give me 1,715. Then I need to subtract 600. So 1,715 minus 600 is going to give me $1,115. So Diana's new balance is 1,115. Fraction application. Henry's rose bush was 3/4 yards tall. He pruned the rose bush by cutting off 1/2 yard. He measured the rose bush today and it had grown 3.5 yards more after it was pruned. How tall is the rose bush now? So you first go through, underline the important information. So at first it was 3/4 yard tall. Okay, sorry, let me try to get this focused in. So Henry's rose bush was 3/4 yards tall. So it started at 3/4 yards. He pruned, which meant cuts off 1/2 yard. So if you cut off something, you're taking away 1/2 yard. He measured the rose bush today, and it had grown, so adding 3/12 yard more after it was pruned. How tall is the rose bush? So we're trying to find the final height of the rose bush. So we start at 3/4. Then he cuts off 1/2. So I take away 1/2. Then it grows, so we add 3/12 yard. So this is our expression we are working with. So with dealing with fractions, when we add and subtract fractions, we need a common denominator. So I look, in the least common multiple of 4, 2, and 12 is 12. I'm going to multiply the first fraction's numerator and denominator by 3, multiply the second numerator and denominator by 6, and I don't have to do anything to the third fraction. So that's going to give me 9 over 12 minus 6 over 12 plus 3 over 12. So now I work from left to right. 9 over 12 minus 6 over 12. Well, 9 minus 6 is 3. So 3 over 12 plus 3 over 12. 3 plus 3 would be 6 over 12. But we're not done because that's not simplified. What number can go into both 6 and 12? 3 can. 3 can go into 6. 3 can go into 12. And that's going to give us 6 divided by 3 is 2. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So guys, instead of 3 going into both of those, we can also say 6 can go into both of those. The greatest common factor of 6 and 12 is 6. So 6 divided by 6 would be 1. 12 divided by 6 would be 2. So how tall is the rose bush now? The rose bush is 1/2 yards tall.